Everyone, can you hear us? Give us a thumbs up if you can. Yay! All right, thanks for joining us today. We have kind of a small crew here because a lot of folks are in a meeting today, but we've got a big crew online, and that is awesome. I put a link in the Zoom chat with the link to the working group. Not working group. You can tell what I've been working on with the working doc. So throw in your agenda items, questions, anything like that that you want to cover today. To start things off, just want to do some general announcements. And first thing is, anybody new? Is this your first time on the call, first time working with the project? Would you like to say hi and tell us what you work on? All right, so everyone is old hat. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I didn't introduce myself last time, but I'm from Juniper Network. We are interested in learning more about Istio, and we have some products in the space as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, same here. Hi, my name is Idan. I'm from Scoop Technologies, carpooling the app, and we're still kind of looking into Istio and trying to find out more about the community and more about service meshes. And it's my first time on the call.
Welcome.
Thanks.
My name is Jan. I work at Google. I'm a user researcher, so I'm interested in seeing what's been taught in this meeting. I work in Istio for Google.
Great. Thanks for joining us. All right. If nobody else wants to say hi, we won't put you on the spot. A couple of other just general announcements. One thing that I want to call out is that OSCON 2018, there's a call for presentations out now. It does close on January 30th. January 30th. I can't talk. I clearly have not had enough coffee yet today, which that's next Tuesday. So I put a link to the CSP in the working doc. Check it out. If you haven't been to OSCON before, it is, all open source. So it's a great time to meet other people in the open source community and just talk about, general open source projects and things you've been working on. So I highly encourage everybody to check it out. It's in Portland this year, I believe. And it's in July. And I think Portland in July is not miserably warm, so it should be a good place to go. So definitely check that out. Would love to have some of the community there, ideally speaking, but if nothing else, just there in person. We'll look at doing some sort of a meetup or something around that conference so that we can get everybody there. The next thing I wanted to do a general update on was just a high-level kind of project governance update. You'll see in the community repo there's a lot that's changing in process. One of the things that we have changed recently is what was the steering committee is now the technical oversight committee. And there is a steering committee as well, but I haven't created that file yet. But the reason behind that is the desire to have a steering committee that is a larger, broader group, multidisciplinary, that will address some of the larger governance issues and will also, tackle the fun things like logos and, things, administrative type project things that come up. But then the technical oversight committee is what we used to call the core working group. And those folks are, essentially the core contributors, the leaders of the project, and they are specifically focused on the technical aspects of the project. So the reasoning behind splitting the two out was that the technical decisions could be easily made, and not have to get, we don't want the technical decisions to get bogged down with some of the larger conversations that are going on at the steering level, especially as the project grows. So that's kind of the high level idea behind that. As part of the overall project governance, do keep an eye on the community repo. Make sure you're aware of everything that's going on. I'm going to update the repo with a kind of list of the open questions that we know the steering committee needs to address. Things like, how does one get on the steering committee? How does one get on the technical oversight committee? Things like that. Would love, of course, community feedback. Would love to hear what questions you have so we know what to address. The steering committee meets weekly, and we are literally going through that running list of questions. And my plan is to just kind of update things, on the GitHub file as we get to them. Of course, with any project, governance is an ongoing thing. So it's not we're doing this one time and we're never going to change anything. And we're doing our best for, how the project is now. But of course, as it grows and the community gets bigger, things are going to change. So just keep that in mind and definitely send us your feedback. Would love to hear, what's worked well for you in other projects, what hasn't, and how we can make the Istio community, be really inclusive and open for everyone. So send us your feedback there. And that is my spiel. Does anyone else have any general announcements here they want to share, or anyone on the call have anything? If no, then we can get into our demo from Nginx.
Hi, my name is Seo Cheng, and I work for Nginx. And today, what I want to do is to demo our Nginx integration with Istio. And what we done was to implement Nginx open source version as a sidecar, as a transparent sidecar. Let me actually share my screen. Can everybody see my screen well?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, give me a second.
Yeah, it's a bit too small.
Well, it's a bit too small for us.
Oh, really?
All right.
No,
It's good, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, is it better?
Yes.
All right, let me go and try to minimize the sidebar. Let me see. Okay. Let's see. Does everybody can see my whole screen well?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. All right. So this is a link to this is a GitHub our project, and it's a fully open source, and we are using Nginx version 1.17, and this you can actually browse through our repo, and it shows the architecture diagram. Basically, this is we're replacing doing a full cycle implementation using Nginx, and we have a combination of using agent to talk to a pilot, and we wrote then a custom module retaining Rust to ability to talk to the mixer, and the rest of the instructions show you how to actually install the Istio combination with the Nginx. And to apply, you can actually follow the steps. And we do have several, if you can see, several repo. We have, so the engine mesh is the main repo, contain the code and the agent implementation. Then we do have this mix repo, which is written in Rust, and that actually talks to the Mixer module and can actually browse to. So what I'm going to do is actually now the next step is to actually a demo of running of engine mesh in Istio. Okay, great. So first, let me do get pot. So I do have a cluster running in a Google Cloud, and this is I already actually had have Istio running already, and it's showing Istio, all the modules, and parameters and the optional components. Okay, so now the only difference in the next step is that I'm going to deploy initializer. So we usually support the initializer. So the only difference is that instead of running the default Istio initializer, we're going to actually apply our initializer. Mesh. Okay, here. Okay, so this initializer, same initializer. The only difference is that we are. Okay, let me show that. So this is the same structure, and the difference is that we are actually using our sidecar Docker images. Okay. So the next step is, so that's it. Now I'm going to deploy actually the Bookinfo application. Pet. Okay, suppose. Okay, and this is the same Bookinfo that we did it for the Istio. Okay, here. If we do get us, okay, so it's already deployed. Now, if we look at now the examine the pod. Okay, so do we have a product page? And the next container Istio proxy. So we use the same convention for the container in the pod, except it's running engine mesh pod. Okay. Now what we're gonna do is gonna get okay. So we're gonna get the ingress port. Okay. And there's a product page, same Bookinfo. Okay, so the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to actually start Grafana locally. I'm sorry, connecting to Grafana to proxy to forward it.
Could you increase the font size, please? Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, is it better?
Much. Thank you.
Okay, great. So just going to forward, start Grafana locally here. And then, so let me see, localhost 3000. And viewing here. And we'll go back to the here. And you can see the traffic coming through the all the way from the providers and then actually view in Grafana. Okay, and we support most of the metrics in the standard mixer. Okay, and then the next one is that we're gonna actually now make sure. Okay, can actually start Skit local port. Okay. And post. Okay, and let me just run the and you can actually browse through the product page and find traces. Okay, so and you can actually now inspect. Okay, so we are using the open tracing module integration as part of our Nginx. Okay. So now let me go and increase the go inside is the part itself. Page. Okay. We are using our same convention as the Istio sidecar. So here, proxy. Okay. So this is where the Nginx configuration resides. And this, the configuration files is generated through our agent. Okay, so you can, and if we inspect this, okay, so we do have a few modules that are included. So this is dynamic modules in Nginx. So the first two are our implementation of custom module implementation. The second is that this is the open tracing and the security modules. Okay, and the rest of it is standard, pretty much our Nginx configuration, except that this is designed to now talking to Istio component. Okay, and that's the main configuration. Just a small one here. And then if we go over to this config file, okay. So these are a list of a configuration file that is generated from talking to getting configuration information from the pilot. So if we go back to here, okay. So these the upstream informations are generated from the after getting the configuration from the pilot. Okay, and each of these the pilot route, we do have our if you can see that the mixer modules. Okay, so here we have a mixer. So you have a mixer information, the configuration directives. So here a mixer report on, check off, and open tracing information, and then the standard Nginx proxy header configuration, and this is talking to the product page part. Okay, so that's here. So the next step is that we're gonna do is to apply the routing rules. So if you go back to the product page here, okay. So I'm just following the default Istio demo. So here we have 3 versions of reviews running. Okay, and I'm going to do is apply using Istio control. Okay. I'm going to apply route rule that says that, so this is the same routing rule that this is coming from the booking flow. That tells that only to route using version 1 of the app instead of multiple version. So once we do that, you can see that every time we refresh, it's only showing version 1. Okay. Now if we go back and delete the rule, show that. Okay. Go back here. Go back to and show the 3 versions. Okay. Okay. So that's the major features of our engine mesh. Please look at our repo and try it out and give us a feedback. Okay. Thanks.
You have time for a good question?
We're on the go for it.
Hey, hi, I had a question. How do you do the pilot to Nginx configuration translation? Like you have a process that that makes the pilot calls and translates it?
Yes, so that's the part of the agent. So currently we do have an agent within Go that actually pretty much borrowed from the early implementation of Go that in Istio, and we translate it into Nginx configuration.
Hi, this is Lynn. Quick question. Is the Istio Ingress also using Nginx?
Not yet. So okay. That's our plan, but currently only the sidecar it done implementation. But those
so the Istio Ingress still using Envoy in the demo then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I guess that was going to be my question. Is there a way to define which proxies should be Nginx and which ones should be Envoy?
Well, that's, I think, a very interesting question. I think that's some of the feedback we got was to possibility on the very large Istio deployment to have a mix and match of Envoy and Nginx running. So we have some ideas, but I think that requires much more larger community involvement.
Have you done any performance with your setup? I'm just curious. How would we recommend people when this thing is mature, as far as from not only from function perspective but also from performance perspective?
Sure. Yeah. So we have done some initial benchmark, and we are working through and make sure that it reflects the real setup. The performance is. Can be very complex topic because it's combination of the memory size, combination of application, and whether it's talking to the ingress. But we plan to hopefully publish some of the benchmark and give at least give some hints on which. Any other
awesome.
questions?
Thank you so much for the demo.
Sure, welcome.
Does anybody else have any other questions? And are y'all taking contributions for this, or?
Yes, I mean it's a fully open source suite. It's on a GitHub, so it's in a standard the contribution process, and so we are welcome to any contribution.
Great. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, so next on our agenda, we had a question about issue number 2628, which I'm sure everyone has memorized exactly at the top of their heads what it is. I don't know who posted this question. Do you want to, probably whoever created the issue, but do you want to unmute, talk more about what you're running into?
What's the number?
2628, 2628. Is the creator of that issue on the call? If not, we might be better just responding in the issue. I don't.
Yeah, so there has been a lot of stuff on that issue, so.
Still not completely.
Yeah, it looks like Zach is still working on it. I don't think Zach's on the call.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just mark that we can ping Zach to, or unless somebody here has.
I'm not able to reproduce it, and we are working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no problem. A bunch of promises like this that we're working on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be part of, I mean, it will be definitely part of 1.0 and hopefully sooner than that, but we're working on it.
Well, they're working on creating a little bit nicer solution, but there are a couple of workarounds. That's why I would be curious.
Christian, we can't hear you.
Sorry?
We can't hear you very well.
Oh, can you hear me now?
A little better.
Oh, I was just saying that there are, Zach and others are looking at maybe more, a little bit more elegant solutions to the problem, but there are a couple of workarounds that are available also. So that's why I would have been curious to hear what the person put that in there.
Okay. Looks like our next question, looking for a roadmap for, so is this someone from Core DNS? Anybody want to own up to asking that? I'm gonna pull up the link.
It looks like that might have been a stray paste.
Okay, I was wondering, like,
Because it originally said foreign service availability.
Did it? Okay.
I didn't ask the question, but I'm very interested in if there is a...
Can you speak up, whoever's talking?
Hi, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't ask this question, but I'm very interested in finding out if there is a roadmap that I can track for the foreign services stuff. It seems like the next iteration over the egress rule and just managing external services. If there's some kind of documentation or running like I can keep track on.
Documentation roadmap for foreign services.
There's the gateway ingress proposal, and which touches. I mean, it's in the other direction, I guess, but
gateway and egress.
No, the egress. I don't know.
The foreign service, and yeah, it's part of the same proposal for gateway, and that's actively being worked on. Documentations are. There was a presentation of, well, kind of just that Louis did, and the proto in the API directory has pretty much all the dirty details.
Can we link to that proposal here in the doc, just so people can find it?
Yes, for some reason.
Okay, so we'll get a link to that in the working group doc. I saw Red Hat submitted a PR. Do you guys want to talk about it?
No, just want to say that it was, let's say, one of the commitments I had made initially is that we'll be providing an Ansible installer for Istio to simplify the process, so that it was accepted yesterday, very well welcomed, very easy to get through the merge process as well. So thanks everyone for help.
Yeah, very cool. Exciting to see that. And we have a question about IP tables requirements.
Hi, yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I had a question about, I've seen, I'm kind of a beginner at Istio here, but I've seen IP table calls, for example, in the Debian installation script in order to reroute outgoing communication to a local Istio port. My question is as follows, what if I'm using a kernel module that replaces IP tables? So I'm using sort of, I've modified the kernel. I'm using a product for which, IP tables isn't really compatible. Is this a requirement of Istio? Is there a possibility maybe there can be a common interface for doing that kind of rerouting instead of directly hitting IP tables? Yeah, that's kind of my question.
So right now we're depending on IP tables, both for redirecting the traffic into the proxy, and also we depend on the availability of this system call to sockets for connections that have been rerouted to be able to find their original destination. We need that for proxying TCP traffic. So nominally, to get this working with some other system, we would have to have some replacement for that redirection. Right now, that's just a script that's written in Bash that inserts some IP tables when the proxy container is started. So that could easily be replaced with something else that has the same effect. And that system call of finding the original destination would have to work. And I'm not a deep enough kind of kernel expert to know whether that's just NetFilter in general works with that system call or whether it's specifically IP tables. But I think those are the two things that would need to work.
I would also add that
115.
That we also support HTTP proxy mode. If it's an HTTP-based service, we support using Envoy as an HTTP proxy, which doesn't require IP tables at all. And for TCP, it is also possible to intercept based on port. So if you don't have overlapping ports, the destination IP can be avoided, and it is possible also to make it work without IP tables. But the main requirement, if you want transparent interception with no modification and no pain, is to have the destination IP. That's kind of the main. Whatever you use, IP tables or any other kernel module, as long as it gets the DST IP, Envoy can properly function.
Next week, production push करेंगे.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions?
Wednesday, Thursday.
Not a question, but it's something that I can add on the IP table stuff. So we're on the right side. We're investigating alternatives to the script and the init container because we're not comfortable with having the init container be privileged. So we're looking for alternative ways of doing that. We're exploring something very early stages. We only had a meeting earlier on today with our security and networking guys to try and work through some alternatives. But the intention is to come up with a POC and then come back to the community to get feedback on approaches to see what would be deemed appropriate and what wouldn't.
That's great to hear. Could you keep us posted on the progress of that? Because we also have concerns on the init image require privileged. In fact, we have a work item to investigate whether privileged equals true is absolutely required for the init image to run.
You could get technology.
Yeah, definitely. That's good.
Well, keep us also on the loop. Also note that it's not full privileges that are actually required. In general, it's just a net capabilities to control the IP table. But and it would be great to just drop from full privileges to just net capability. But if we can avoid net capability as well, it would be great.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I wonder if there's room for cooperating on some kind of common interface to do the redirections and interceptions that are required so people can kind of do it in the way that they want on their system.
We are kind of limited by what Envoy provides and what currently is the solution. It's the destination IP. And I guess that's kind of the baseline interface. Anything that can provide destination IP will work. And how we are actually plugging in and configuring the VM extension, the Debian file or the Docker, there are all kind of proposals about customization with templates or different other ways to customize, kind of inject hooks into the initialization and all the different templates. But if you have a proposal, please let us know.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anybody have anything else? That was the last thing on our agenda. I see Kevin just commented, looking for other folks interested in investigating the IP table stuff. So comment there and get involved if you're interested.
Hi,
Yeah,
this
please,
is...
if you can add your...
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Kevin. Go ahead.
I was just a way to say, if those who are interested in investigating this further can add their names to the comment, then we can start our discussion on that.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Hi, this is Lynn. I just want to share one more thing. Sorry, April, I forgot to mention it when you were asking for announcement. So next month on the 20th, we have IBM Index Conference, and we are delegate 4 hours for Istio community event. So it's in San Francisco. If you are around, we'd welcome you to participate. If you are interested in speaking there, please reach out to me. I'm Lin Sang on email or on our Slack. I'd be happy to work with you, maybe get you some speaking slot there. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Lynn. It's an exciting event, and just so everybody knows, that is a free event, so it'll be really cool. And then I think it's a free to go to the community day, and then there's a discount you get for the index conference as well. So it's a really cool opportunity. We'll send stuff out on the mailing list and all that as well when we have the registration info.
Yeah, so April, this is Nilesh here. Once we have those sessions uploaded, or at least that schedule uploaded onto the website, I will coordinate with you to make sure that we can send it out to the community and last onto the social media as well.
And on the same day, the 20th again, also February, Boston Kubernetes Meetup will have a session on Istio by Shriram. So if you happen to be in Boston, let me know. Let's have a couple of beers together. Thank you.
So it's like Istio coast to coast. Nice.
Right. Which coast are
now
you
we
going?
just need someone in the Midwest. Actually, the Midwest, Kubernetes in like Michigan, or not Kubernetes, I'm sorry, the cloud native group in, they, at least broadcast from Michigan, is looking for, they want to cover Istio as well. So at least that week we'll be coast to coast. Maybe not that entire day, but we'll have the week covered. I will also reiterate, we do have the Istio community calendar, which is in the link at the top of the working doc where we've got all the other good stuff there. If you want, it is public, so you theoretically should be able to add your events to it, but if you have any issues with that, then ping me and I'll give you edit rights. But basically, we want to get everybody who is interested in any Istio events that they would all be there, and so that's basically any conference, any meetup, anything where Istio is going to be discussed. Let's put that up there. And we do have a lot of Istio meetup groups that are starting to form, which is really exciting. And if you're interested in doing that or working with some of the meetup groups, reach out to me and I'm happy to connect you. I know the one in London is particularly active and looking for some speakers. So if you find yourself in London and want to talk about Istio, let me know and we'll get you in touch. And it's not an excuse to fly to London just for the heck of it. I know. Everyone's like, let me just convince my boss I need to go to London. And Lily, I'll paste the link in the chat for you. Anybody have anything else? Oh, Steve, did you want to talk about your stuff?
Yeah, sure, I can talk about my stuff. So I'm Steve from Aprender. I'm working on kind of bringing in Kismatic as a service mesh provider into our open source Kismatic tool. So Zach has been helping me with kind of an overall architecture. I'll post the link in if anyone else wants to comment or provide recommendations. That'd be great. Once it's in there, I'll look at doing a demo.
Cool. We have a Red Hat Istio face-to-face in Newcastle, UK next week. Nice, yeah. So what I'm hearing is we all just need to move to Europe for like a few months and just hit all the big spots.
I think that would be just fine.
Yeah, whenever the weather is the best, as it rains here today in lovely Northern California. All right, does anybody have anything else you want to bring up, share, ask, etc.? All right, then I guess we get 15 minutes back. We will meet again in 2 weeks. And for those few open things we had on the community about some of the issues, we'll make sure they get updated in GitHub. And so keep an eye on that. And if you have anything else come up, find us on the mailing list. And we'll see everybody in 2 weeks. Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks very much. Bye.
All right, thank you.